What are we drinking?
Guess.
Okay. Is it Valor?
Don't even go there.
Can't say that, dude.
Just think more like where the coffee's from, the varietal, the process.
Okay.
Think farmer.
Yeah. It's probably like a Colombian.
Yeah. What farmer are you tasting right now?
It's that coffee from Break. I don't remember where the origin was.
Colombia honey. Al Puente.
Is it really Colombia? I thought it was Honduras. Doesn't matter. Anyways, welcome to the program, listeners.
This coffee is from Break Coffee Roasters in Duluth.
The greater Duluth
The
area.
greater Duluth area, formerly Forgotten Coast. Went through an excellent rebrand.
Looks great.
Looks incredible. This is not it. This is a Valor. This is an old Valor mug.
How could we be drinking a different coffee in a Valor mug?
Smash that like and find out.
That's
A vessel can be anything, you know?
Oh,
wow. Go there, dude.
Want me to press into that?
Unpack that for me.
Did you guys happen to finish Stranger Things this weekend?
Did you watch it?
I did watch some of it. I did not. We almost watched the last one last night, but Daddy was too tired. I was tired. My kid went to bed at 10 o'clock last night. She usually goes to bed at 8.
So if you had started it when she went to bed, it would have been like you probably wouldn't have gotten to your bed till 1 a.m.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
She went to bed so late because we were watching fireworks at the park, and she loved it.
Oh,
It was so fun.
That's awesome.
that's sweet.
Daddy was happy.
Oh,
Because daughter was happy.
Yeah.
Did you, without saying, the huge spoilers, because we have the world's biggest Stranger Things fan right
We do.
here. Did you like it? Did you not like it?
they did exactly what I knew they were going to do.
So
I'll say that. And I'll say this, and I don't think it's too spoilery, and I'll only leave it at a. So if you don't want to hear this, then fast forward 15 seconds right now.
And smash like.
And smash like while you're up there. Man. Now they're going to have to. Okay. Now we have to wait so they can fast forward 15 seconds again. Okay. I didn't say anything just then, so fast forward another 15 seconds and smash like while you're at it.
Starting now.
Now. So they never follow through on like actually killing off a main character. I'll say that.
Who does, though?
They're like, it's like they're too scared to do that, and it's annoying.
they do in the movies and the shows. They kill them off.
Like in Marvel? That's the only grid I have for
Okay, we
art.
have to stop talking about it now, unfortunately, even though I had more to say.
All right. My thing is that I didn't like it and I don't want to watch the show anymore because it's stupid.
Okay.
And I'm objective.
Dude, let's see you try to make a show.
Yeah.
And see how
what
stupid
kind of show
it
would
is.
you make? Let's hear the plot.
It'd be called crazy stuff. You got Stranger Things. I'm just going to call it crazy stuff.
Crazy things.
No, stuff.
Okay,
Crazy
yeah.
stuff.
Sorry, it's your show. Yeah. Guys, I have a confession to make. Okay? And I actually think it'd be a good think piece for you guys. And I want to hear your take on it.
Let's hear it.
I play guitar. Okay? It's my side job. I play guitar, right? We all know this.
Huh?
Friends of the program would know this. I purchased a $35 pick.
Ross.
A single pick.
Are you bragging?
$35.
Well, you said he's confessing.
I'm not that proud of it. I don't regret it, having received the pick and used it this weekend.
Is it just perfectly beveled?
I have it in my hand. It is a
Can I
blue.
see it?
It's a blue chip.
Ooh, it would be called blue chip.
Yeah, my friend Ben has blue chip picks. He probably has an artist deal or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he has like 3 different ones. They're all like different thicknesses and different cuts. But I got one that was a bit thinner. I was using some. All right, guys, since you asked, I was using really, really thick picks for a while. And then I was like, kind of like started to deconstruct that a little bit. And like,
Careful.
Be like, why do I use thick picks? So I started using more thin picks. And I was like, man, I really miss thin picks. Huge difference for people who don't know of like the sound and the feel of using a really thin pick or like a honker. So another thing that I like about it is, so yeah, could I see my pick, Ethan?
Yeah, thanks for the pick, Ross. When are you going to get Ethan one?
So if you'll see, I don't know if you can see this. That's what
You
people
want me to hold it
that's
closer?
what people on YouTube always say. I don't know if you can see this, but there are 3 different sides or 3 different points to it. So you've got the 2 points that are kind of like a traditional, I don't know, like diamond, was that a 45 degree? And then you have the rounded side, right? Okay, just don't like throw it. You know, it's like
Sorry, I
say I
didn't
have a
mean
35.
to.
You're trying to steal it. You're throwing it.
That's the
like,
second thing I've thrown at you and then said I didn't mean to whenever
Yeah.
I actually did.
I'm starting to think there's a conspiracy against everything that I stand for here.
Well.
But what else is new?
Not much.
Anyways, so I just thought we could break down like why I paid $35 for a guitar pick, and then talk about like what, like, have you guys ever bought anything comparable to that? Like a
Stupid thing?
highly, it's not stupid. I wouldn't
Like
say
crazy
that.
stuff?
Like slick stuff, really.
Can
Anyways.
I say something to validate you before you even say anything?
Sure.
When you have a hobby or an interest, it is perfectly acceptable to spend whatever copious amount of money you want on that if it's going to offer you fulfillment.
Yeah. I also
I know you know that.
yeah.
I'm just letting our
Listeners and Ethan.
know. And Ethan, because
Yeah.
he doesn't know.
Right.
I'm not good for much, y'all.
Hey.
Hey, buddy. Come
Hey.
on.
Hey, what we said back there, we were joking. Okay?
What's a joke?
Take a joke.
What is a joke?
Anyways, I agree. I am more excited to play guitar when I play with this pick.
It's amazing.
I've only played with it for one weekend, but when I got it, I was like, I can't wait to see how this thing sounds. And
Nothing.
the things I love about it is it's I was reading about it on offline.
Offline, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you took a screenshot and put your phone on airplane mode, and then you read it.
I was reading. I got this offline, but the reason why it's so expensive is it's made out of a material that they're not going to say what material it is because it's
just plastic.
proprietary information.
Like a propylene.
They say it's
acetate.
a
Blend.
self-lubricating material, whatever that means, but it doesn't ever slip out of my hand. And I can get a different tone from the guitar out of each side. I tested it. I like to play with the rounded side.
How do you
the
know?
most.
How do you have a compass for which side? Whenever you just like pull it out of your pocket, you have to think about it. Yeah.
When I pull it out of my pocket and then it's in my hand for the rest of the set. So like I just like pull it out and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play with this side.
That's how you hold it,
Okay.
by the way?
Yeah. Yeah, hold it just like that. It sounds really good on acoustic. You can tell even more that it's a nice pick on acoustic. But yeah, I think that's why there's a couple reasons I bought it. One, it would make me be more excited to play guitar, and I would play guitar more, which is great. The other thing is it's an investment that's going to make me more money because I'm going to play guitar more and practice more.
And isn't
That will
that
make
what
me
it's
more
all
money.
about?
That's part of what it's about. And the other thing is and this is what I thought would be interesting for you guys to comment on and possibly even like apply to Valor in some way. But whenever you have a highly premium product where when you price it, like when you price a pick at $35, you're like, the question is like, why? Like I have to know, at least for me, it was like, I have to know why this is $35.
Like if they're following a traditional model, does that mean they have $11 cost in that pick?
Yeah. Well, according to their website, it's like, yeah, they have a team of 6 people. They have a CNC machine. You guys know what that is?
No.
A CNC machine, you usually use it to like cut out guitars. So it's like I'm pretty sure it's laser. I could be wrong, but it basically like perfectly cuts out, you know, the shape of the guitar. It even like will contour the body. So they have an $80,000 CNC machine to cut these picks. So it's like that's a overhead cost. They have a team of 6 people, and the main reason it's so expensive is the material is highly it's really expensive to source. I forget.
The perfect connection to your instrument.
Right.
Are you gonna get the banjo thumb pick?
They have a big market in like mandolin and banjo guys. So yeah.
Which one did you get?
It's the TP1R. I don't know if you can find that.
Do you respect the super like basic looking website, or do you wish it was nicer? Okay.
Well,
I thought you would like the
It's a family company in Knoxville.
Clinton, but
Oh, okay.
I saw it in the Google search.
Clinton.
Okay. But yeah, so I like how like homey the website is. Yep, the 40 on the right. That's what I got. So, anyways,
Wow. Thanks for sharing.
I want to ask you guys a question. Whenever, like, as a consumer, okay, what are your core values? Like the things you value whenever you're trying to make a purchase. Let's like you could break it down even to like the groceries you buy, or you could be like when you buy a silly thing like this, like or like a hobby or something for work, you know, like what are the things you look for whenever you're figuring out what to buy? What excites you?
Please go ahead. You love answering this kind of stuff.
I can go first if you guys don't know, because I have an answer already.
Okay, Ross. Why don't you keep going?
Okay, so
Welcome to the Ross
You're
Show.
kind of going
Jeez.
off, bro.
I know I have a few guitar heads out there. All right, gear nerds.
Smash like.
Smash like if you're a gear nerd. I'll talk about it in those terms because that's kind of like my main, like, I don't buy a ton of things personally for Valor to like use but for my other job I do because I have to.
Quick thing. If you're listening to this and you're wondering if we're going to get to part 2 of our series, we are. Just hold tight.
Yeah. Hold tight. I have 2 different pieces of gear that I really like. I have my guitar, I have my amp. And there's a commonality between both of them. My guitar is a PRS Silver Sky. For anyone that cares or knows. The thing I love about it is a classic design, a timeless design, the Fender Stratocaster. There's so many amazing things about that design, like Leo Fender designing that in the 50s. They just like made the best guitar ever, and it has not changed a ton over the years. PRS took that and just improved it, like improved different things. There he is.
That is hot.
Johnny May. So I love timeless designs that don't need to be changed, but are improved. Like the limitations are taken off. That's the same thing with my amp. It's a Mesa Boogie California Tweed. And it is a classic like tweed amp design, but there's like these modern features that don't take away from like the original like goodness of what it was.
Like all the good, less of the bad.
Yeah.
Not much fluff on top.
When you have like a vintage design, there's so many great things about it, but there's just limitations to it. And so like taking off the limitations, but without losing the original intent and the original goodness. I'm a sucker for that.
Love that.
Wow. Classics, man. Classic with a modern touch.
Right.
Just like John Mayer.
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
It's true.
We got a John Mayer man on our hands.
I think for me, it's a lot of, functional and thoughtful is what I look for. So, if we're talking about something functional, like this computer, for example, I mean, I didn't buy this computer, full transparency. Valor bought it for me. But
You kind of did.
So I bought 33% of it. Thanks, guys.
Whatever.
It's, I didn't have an old computer before, but, this computer came out and the specs were so crazy that it legitimately, I kind of had to buy it because it was going to save me so much time in my work week. So like when I edit a video, it renders the video in, a 10th of the time that my previous computer did.
Whoa.
I can have multiple programs open at the same time that I do use kind of back and forth, and my computer never slows down, which just helps me be able to kind of output more. So, functional, something else I think of is like my Outlier pants. Ethan put me on to Outlier. They kind of, as they age, I guess all the sexy things about them kind of go away. But when you first get them out of the box, they're like completely rain proof. They're like comfortable enough to sleep in, but they kind of look like nice pants if you want them to, but you can kind of like dress them down a little bit. And just like do all this stuff. It's like really cute.
They are super cute.
They're really cute. Yeah. Yeah.
So functional. I think you like features.
I like
You're
features.
a big features guy. You're not going to just buy this like one trick pony kind of thing. I don't see that a lot for you.
I mean, another thing I think of is like my TV at home. Like it's kind of ridiculous, but I'm just like, I watch TV every day. I play video games like pretty often, so I'm going to get a TV that's like kind of bells and whistly.
Yeah.
And every time I watch my TV, I'm like, this is great. I love this. I love TV.
TV, dude. Is it a plasma?
Yeah, it's a plasma.
Is it a flat screen?
HD?
Yeah. It's an OLED. That's kind of the thing nowadays.
Okay.
Is it like plasma?
It's just like plasma. Yeah. Can't put it on its
Speak in
can't put it on
terms-
its side or it'll mess it up.
Yeah.
Remember when that was a thing with plasma?
Don't put the plasma on its side.
The plasma will trickle down.
So there's kind of two questions on the table. The first one was like, what's something you'd spend money on that's kind of dumb? And then what do you look for when you're buying something? Like what are the features or principles?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about stupid stuff I've bought lately. I'll probably go spend some money on Frisbees because...
Like some high-end Frisbees.
Because Ross threw all of yours on the roof.
On the roof. No,
On the
just
roof.
because my Frisbees have like when you throw it on concrete, it gets like scratched on the bottom and then it gets rough. So I don't think you have to buy nice ones.
Mm.
I don't think there's like a boutique Frisbee out there. I'm sure there is.
Oh, there's not?
That one says it's $400. So.
Well, that's for $100.
Oh.
You should just buy that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that one's 7,000.
What else I bought?
Your one and only destination for discs.
That's disc golf. I bet that can get really expensive.
You used to be into
yeah.
disc golf.
Yeah, I got a bunch of discs. I just gotta go throw disc. I don't know. I'm trying. I feel like me and my wife probably spend the most amount of money on just food. We're always buying like the nicest, whole foodiest food,
Why do you do that?
Oh, okay. I bought a $15 jar of chili oil when you could get one for like $3. And it was like this lady had this whole story about like growing up in Sichuan, where like chili oil is from, and like moving here and integrating a bunch of different flavors, but making it all like organic. And I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Because I think for me with food, I'm like, it's the best when it's closest to its truest form, but it's also cool when it has a lot of like modern expression a little bit. So there's like different spices in there than what would be in like a classic recipe. I was like, oh, this would be super fun. And I went through it. It was great. It was a great win.
So similar philosophy, like it's pure to its form, how it's supposed to be, but there's like some things, there's a spin on it that doesn't take away from the like natural element of it.
Enhancing.
Yeah.
I probably think about footprint a lot because I buy a lot of used stuff. I think I always just like look for used first. And so I love doing that kind of stuff. Rocking some shorts I got for free. Got this shirt for free. I'm just kidding. I
picked that up at the thrift store.
Yeah, I paid for 33% of it.
Yeah.
So
I paid for 33% of it too. So and thank you for part of this shirt too.
Yeah. So like thrifty, like you're not trying to buy like new clothes all the time.
No.
When's the last time you bought new clothes?
1 year ago I bought Patagonia fishing pants.
I remember that. That was a big day for you.
For the farm, because they're like super lightweight nylon pants, but I wanted to wear long pants for the farm. So sometimes when I really need like to do a specific function, I will buy the thing that I need at retail cost. But that's pretty few and far between. I think on either side of that, it's been a while since I've bought clothes. I went to doing more of the like Frisbee workout stuff this year. I went to Ross a couple weeks ago. Picked up some like...
What did he have to say? Just kidding.
Picked up some like, athletic socks and compression shorts and like workout shorts, all for like $30. I was like, this is great.
This podcast is brought to you by
Ross.
Thanks, Ross.
You guys know the slogan?
Dress for less.
Dress for less. So I dress for less. And that's what I have to say.
Nice.
Thanks for bringing up this scintillating topic. And if you liked this topic,
you know what to do.
You already
do
know
we
what
even
to
need
do
to
right
say
now.
it? But maybe think about it for yourself and write in. What are some of your values that come to mind when you're thinking about making a purchase?
I mean, it's like having just like the premium slot on our menu, kind of like back to the blue chip conversation. Like when you look at Onyx's coffee, like they have a $100 12-ounce box of coffee. In the question, like, yes, not a lot of people are going to buy that.
Well, it's Onyx. So.
A good amount of people will, but if you're talking about the percentage of the
customer base
in America that drinks coffee. But it's like, the question is, man, how good could it really be? Mm-hmm. I just think that's an interesting product approach, like how to market something. But anyways.
What you cooking up over there, T?
I'm just looking at their... What am I... Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. This is nuts, but it's amazing that they are able to do this. So, limited memberships available of the Echelon membership. It's currently sold out. $2,850 for 12 months of the finest coffee in the world.
Whoa.
Wow.
First
50 to sign up within the U.S. at this time. So they've got 50 people on that.
50 times 3,000 is... So they probably got like $42,000 in this little project. Wait, no.
Isn't that 150,000?
Whoops. Yeah, sorry. 150,000. I think 15.
So they pulled 150K from this.
Wow.
I mean, they didn't profit that. Okay?
Oh, of course. Business 101.
Membership. Sorry, dude.
Wow.
All right, this
Tell us
podcast
how you-
is
tell-
gonna,
yeah, tell us
is
how you
gonna
really feel.
Yeah, put the
have the little
explicit
E sign next to it. Sorry, everyone.
For a slip of the tongue.
So 12 10-ounce boxes of Echelon coffee, 1 year's worth, shipped on a monthly basis. 12 Onyx brew guides tailored to the Echelon kit. Baratza X Echelon Vario Plus grinder. Wow. Okay. Fellow times Echelon Stag EKG kettle. Okay. Hario V60. Time More Black Mirror scale. Third Wave Water Classic. Ember times Echelon temperature control mug. So you get a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like what, $1,000 worth of gear right there.
definitely
Yeah.
close.
So they're saying you only get a box a month?
A box a month, yeah. So definitely, I mean, I think it's just, I don't think the idea is that you get to drink Echelon every day.
Well, I feel like they probably made a better decision on that because I was just thinking like personally, I don't think I'd want to drink like $20 cup worth of coffee
Every day.
every day
Yeah.
because it's probably super intense and like some of the stuff we were tasting last week that was like the wine fermented
Kombucha
yeah.
process,
kombucha process. I'm
SCOBY process.
Scoby. I'm like, this is super fun, and I really want to show this off, but like, this would never be like a daily driver.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, let's just copy them. We can do this. You know?
Onyx, if you're listening, thanks for the idea.
Thanks for the idea.
What you guys know anything about this scale? You guys ever seen those?
I've used one.
How is it?
I remember it being slow, accurate,
Okay.
and
Amazing.
kind of like indestructible looking. The other thing was the buttons. You know how when you press a button, you can't tell if you're pressing it or not because it's slow. So and there's no like click to the button. There's no like beep. That's another thing I didn't like about it. But Slow Pour Supply, if you're listening, smash like. And we are taking sponsorship deals. I just did an ad roll for you.
I mean,
Perfect.
I want to buy one after that. After that pitch.
Man, you know, buttons have really made their way out, and I get it, but I like buttons.
I
like a
Dude,
really
hot
tactile button.
Yeah.
I don't like the home button on the iPhone.
Yeah.
I didn't miss it when it was gone because I think swiping up is more of a natural motion than to stop and press. But whenever things have a really nice clicky button, it's nice.
I agree.
Smash like if you agree. Smash that like button.
Yep.
I think as humans we have gotten a little more used to the touch screen because I'm pretty wary of touch screen. But now like everything has a daggum touch screen on it.
Yeah.
And you know we say more to break. Honestly,
Yeah.
Hey, we're kind of talking about equipment.
Hey, how about that?
Oh, I couldn't help but notice we were talking about equipment.
That's going to segue into our big topic for the day. So if you tuned in last week, you heard all about things people ask us when they're starting a coffee shop.
Yes.
So last week we touched on hiring and hiring philosophy, scheduling
philosophy.
Separately.
You should just say
Philosophy, we touched on like stoicism,
nihilism.
Philosophy.
other
Yeah.
philosophy. Yeah, the philosophy of philosophers. And this week, Ross,
I've prepared a talk.
expert Ross has, he's got a lot to say. So Ross, what is number 2 on the list of things people ask you about when they're looking to start a coffee shop?
Well, let me tell you.
Tell them what they want, Ross.
Man, no one will ever trust anything we say if we just keep acting like total idiots. But here it goes anyways, right? So another thing people ask unfortunately, people don't ask as much as I would like for them to, honestly, about this one. A lot of people, like, when they're starting a cafe, we start talking to them after they've already bought some of the equipment. So typically what happens if someone doesn't know what equipment to buy, they will just research online. I'd be interested to know, like, what people type in. Like type in your, do you have Google?
I could probably go download it real quick.
Can you download Google and then type in google.com into that? And then, yeah, okay.
I cannot tell you the last time I was on Google.com.
Right. They got a real simple
I
look
live on
lately.
google.com, dude.
Okay, first
feeling
click,
lucky.
I'm feeling lucky.
Okay, I'm feeling doodly.
Anyways, so type in, like, best espresso machines,
Coffee shop
coffee shop
2022.
2022. Yeah.
No, don't do 2022. They wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I know them.
All right.
Whoa.
So ads, you got San Remo, La Marzocco, Linea Mini. Yeah, espresso parts. Here we go.
Why don't you back up just a touch while he's scrolling through that and just say a refresher of who we're talking about?
Yeah, right. So if you didn't listen to last episode, we just talk about in our wholesale program, people reach out to us whenever they want to use our coffee. Specifically, we're talking about, let's say there's a coffee shop that's opening in a suburb around Atlanta, and they are like, it'd be great if we could use Valor coffee. And we're like, yeah, it would be great. Let's do it. And when you use our coffee, we help you out essentially with opening your cafe and like training and sourcing equipment and developing your menu. All of that's kind of like included with the cost of buying coffee from us. And the thought process there is that it's a win-win for both of us. If our coffee is being sold at a coffee shop, we want our coffee to be represented really well, which, yes, that has a lot to do with the quality of the drink, but that also has a lot to do with how efficient the bar is. And really, at the end of the day, the most important thing is like the guest experience. And so we like to look at a more like holistic approach of the business we're working with and help in any way we can. So these are like three of the main ways that people at least ask of our expertise on these things. Is that good?
That was amazing.
Wow, thank you.
Can I say something really quick?
Yep.
So anytime you go onto Google, and I'm going to say this, I'm sure a lot of you know this. I think maybe some of you don't, because I probably only kind of really picked up on this like 3 or 4 years ago. When you type in 10 best or like best something, and then you read one of those first articles, it is healthy to note that everyone writing an article like this is just trying to sell something. So, whenever you go on, you click on it, and there just so happens to be a bunch of Amazon links. The reason that there are Amazon links is because Amazon has a very popular affiliate program. So you click on that, you buy something, the person who wrote the article gets a percentage of the sale. So then you have to consider, what about the products that aren't sold on Amazon? They probably didn't write about those, even if they are great or even the best, because they aren't going to get a portion of the sale. So, I click on this one from Espresso Parts. Instantly, what I'm thinking in my head is, if Espresso Parts doesn't sell this, it's not going to be in this article of the 8 best commercial espresso machines for 2022.
Yeah.
So take everything with a grain of salt.
Good,
Salt Bay.
good little ad there.
This is us putting some salt on this conversation.
Wow.
So their number one best commercial machine for high volume is the La Marzocco GB5S AV2 group.
And that's just to back up even a bit more too. Like, that's usually the first question, right? Is like, what espresso machine are we going to get?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different brands out there. A great place to start is your espresso machine, because it has a lot to do with how you decide the espresso machine that you decide to get says a lot about how big your cafe is. It says a lot about how high volume your cafe is. It says a lot about like what you want your team to be like too, because if you and what your clientele is going to be like. So if you have a cafe in Portland where you're like, okay, we're only going to hire people that have at least 2 years of coffee experience, and we're only going to pull like single origin, washed Ethiopian coffees on espresso, just so that like we can introduce that to our like ultra hipster neighborhood. Everybody's wearing teeny beanies, like
Summer, winter,
fall,
spring.
The
teeny
only thing that
beanies.
changes is the material of the teeny beanie from
Yes.
season to season.
Sometimes it has a latch on the back, or
Mhm.
in my case on the front of my head. Sometimes it's anyways. So you're gonna buy a different espresso machine for that cafe than you would if you're opening in the suburbs of Georgia.
Maybe.
But anyways, there's a lot we could say on that. But why don't we just break down this list?
Yeah. So, I mean, number one, it's, from the number one listing on Google, looking this up, the number one machine is pretty good. It was better than I was going to
Yeah.
expect it to be. So, GB5 workhorse, can't go wrong with it. Very Italian traditional look, which would make sense for them targeting a market of who the person that's going to look up this might be a little bit older, starting a cafe as their retirement plan. They're like, ooh, the Italian. Look at the lion. Very nice. So
then-
makes sense. What's that?
The classic GB5 is just a pretty much all manual machine, but they're promoting. I don't know what the S is. You guys know what the S is?
I don't, actually.
No, me neither. But
But the AV is the volumetrics, meaning that you can program recipes into your machine, which kind of does speak to superior temperature control.
I think maybe these just came out.
Yeah,
The
S always
S.
just sounds new, superior.
support-
Introducing Linea Classic S. So yeah, this S line is pretty new for them. I think it might just have something to do with temperature control.
Right. So, another huge thing with espresso machine is people are always trying to like go cheap.
Mm-hmm.
People always, and the cheapest machines are manual machines.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge thing I always try to tell people is that yes, you're trying to do a skinny build out. The range and price for espresso machines is pretty big. Like you can score a $4,000 dual group, like 2-group espresso machine,
Dual boiler.
2-group, and that is the same bones as this GB5. This GB5 is probably like 14 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But especially if you're trying to go cheap and the espresso machine is manual, then be prepared to train your baristas as such. So you're saving money now, but you're spending money later in, one, like wasted shots because people are going to forget to stop the shot manually and it'll overflow. Thank you. And then also just training people. Your drink times will probably be longer too, which is going to cost money for you in a kind of weird way. But having a auto volumetric machine where it stops the shot for you is so huge.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's usually, I could be wrong, but it tends to be like 1,000 more or like 1,500 more. I would say that's at least in the ballpark, but
So worth it for us, just to be
Yeah.
clear. Like we wouldn't consider opening a shop that didn't have volumetrics or some sort of recipe control.
Yeah, we have a machine here at HQ that doesn't have volumetrics, and we were thinking of ways to save money for our next cafe. We were like, maybe we just put that machine in there, but we can't do it because of that.
Yeah. And we put a really high value on training. Like we train our people on espresso, and we have a multi-step certification process to even be able to pull espresso or like, work on our bar. So we care about that a lot, but we're still not trying to have like a manual machine. It's not like more artisan or more, craft to have a manual machine. It's kind of just more potential for error. I could see it. Like I said, certain coffee shops, it might make sense. Like if you have like 3 different coffees on espresso and you're not like incredibly high volume, like if you couldn't program 3 different recipes, if you had 3 different coffees on espresso, you were pulling them all differently. I could see why you want to have a manual machine because you can stop the shot, differently for each coffee, but that's very rare. And
and even just looking at this GB5, and I think the Linea has the same thing too. I think there's at least 4 recipes you can build into an AV as well. So that's you're not just restricted to like one thing. And there's the feature to just let water flow out until you stop it.
Yeah.
You got options.
Yeah, and to kind of double up on the quality side, we'll probably touch on this in a second, but where La Marzocco is with their volumetric and scale technology, you really aren't compromising quality at all. Anyways, moving on. Their number 2 best luxury machine, Slayer Steam LPX.
What was the first one? Like the title? So this is best luxury machine.
The 8 best commercial espresso machines.
Sorry, for the GB5.
Oh,
the best commercial machine for high volume.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, personally, I think I've pulled a shot on this machine one time, so I don't know a ton about it. Other than that, it looks good. It feels pretty good, and I've heard that Slayer's quality has taken a pretty substantial step up in the past 5 or so years.
Yeah.
They used to be known as the expensive machines that break. You would see high-end cafes get a Slayer, use it for a while, and then sell it and get a Linea. That was kind of like a bit there for a while. But I think they have really improved. But they're pricey. You know what that bad boy runs?
No, I don't. I'm sure we can
Let's
find
see
out.
what Espresso Parts sells it for.
Were you testing me?
They sell a 2-group with volumetrics for $20,035.
Yep.
Let's see what a 3-group in turquoise blue would run you. Hey, that's really not that bad.
No. Can we see bone beige while we're at it?
Yep, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
I don't like the wood accent, though. I'll be honest.
Hey,
We should hit that too. Like that's a classic question of, do I spend my money on the grinder or do I spend my money on the espresso machine?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. We'll get there when we talk. Best machine for the value, La Marzocco Linea 2-group EE. I agree, but this doesn't have volumetrics.
Yep.
So I would not be caught dead with this machine. I've worked on this machine
For years and years.
for 10 years.
Decades and decades.
I worked on this machine at a previous job. And so it does not have built-in timers.
Yeah.
It doesn't have volumetrics, and it substantially decreased workflow of the output that could have been hit by that cafe. You have to start a timer. We would the classic kitchen timer, start the timer and the clicker at the same time, and then you'd have to stop the shot as well.
Right.
And yeah, it was no good.
Another reason there's a bent towards manual machines, not only because the price is lower, but also because there's a lack of education with espresso excellence for like people that are opening coffee shops a lot of times. Meaning the amount of time that it takes for your espresso shot to pull is a really big indicator of how that shot's going to taste. It's not ultimate. It's not the only thing, but it is one of the main variables and pieces of data that you can notice whenever you're trying to control whether this shot was good or if it was bad. Like, am I going to serve this espresso or am I not? And a lot of people don't know that whenever they're opening a cafe. So the thought process is like, well, if I get this manual Linea 2 group, I'm going to press brew, and then I'm going to have my shot glass that has 2 ounces on it. And whenever the shot reaches 2 ounces, I'm going to stop the shot. And there, that's not ideal, but there's worse systems out there. There's such a thing as no system, which I see a lot. But so like, why would I,
Stripe.
yeah. So why would I need a timer? So having a timer and having volumetrics on your machine is gonna help your system be more foolproof.
And pretty often, if someone's working with us and they're building out a coffee shop, I'd say it's a much smaller percentage people that are coming from coffee or raising up in the coffee industry to their own shop, but it's more someone getting into the industry for the first time. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
So when I think about myself buying equipment for the cafe, you have like a couple things in your mind, not coffee equipment. I'm just talking about something else. Like, I really want a beverage air refrigerator. I'm not thinking about like anything else besides price and name. So like, I could think about someone who's starting a coffee company and they're like, okay, I've been told that La Marzocco is the good brand. So I'm just going to look for price and La Marzocco.
Yeah.
I feel like that would lead a lot of people here.
Yep.
Because if you go up to GB5, the AV, could you check the price on that?
Yeah, so this was what, 11.6?
Yeah, it was like 11.6.
GB5. This is if you're just buying it straight off of espresso parts, which,
It's just like
you can get it through a tech, and it might be cheaper. So 22 from espresso parts. I'm almost positive you could get this machine for cheaper if you were like buying it through us and Brawny's.
Totally. But it's just like, if I'm
sorry if I'm wrong about that, Caleb. I love you.
Love you, Caleb.
Sorry, we just made you get a discount, Caleb.
Yeah, we can get it down like what, to 11?
Yeah,
10?
Caleb's really lenient with his prices.
Thanks, Caleb.
But it's like, if I'm that person, I'm like, okay, I know I'm supposed to get a La Marzocco. Should I spend $11,000 or $22,000?
Yep.
I'm like, well, I'm getting the $11,000 one. So maybe we've hit on the AV thing pretty well. It's like, that would be another thing I would have in your head as far as like, if you're trying to just run a traditional coffee shop. If you're doing like a clothing store and you have an espresso machine in there, I was like, yeah, you could totally get a manual and you'll be fine. Heck, I'd get a one group or a single group at that. Because another thing that we could talk about too, and it seems like most of these are talking about 2-group machines, but a huge like thing that makes you go faster, I'm blanking on the word, is like, just because you're in a busier area doesn't mean you need a 4-group machine. You should just probably get more portafilters. So with all these, I was like, I don't know if I would ever suggest a 3 or 4 group to most people. I don't know if you've done that or felt otherwise. But I don't regret having a 3-group machine.
We're doing it again.
And because I think we need to, because we're just pretty high volume, and that's the way we've like built our systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Let's just kind of breeze through the rest of this real quick. Best machine for a small space. Espresso, Baby T Plus. Never heard of it. Looks kind of cool. Maybe it is. I have no clue. If I was writing this list, I would put a GS3 on here.
I don't think we ever made this correction. I think someone wrote in and told us about this, but on our coffee cart podcast, like everything we know about starting a coffee cart, we said that if you buy a GS3, you need to replace the steam wand I think because it used to come with a cool touch steam wand that sucked for high volume. Like you would steam 2 lattes and then your machine would be down for 10 minutes. The recovery time was really bad. So you had to what we did is we bought a non-cool touch steam wand that kept up a lot faster. Someone wrote in and said they updated it and that's not the case anymore. The cool touch steam wand keeps up just as well as the non-cool touch steam wand that we upgraded to. We bought one, and that is true.
Bought a new GS3.
We bought a new GS3 with the cool touch steam wand, and it does keep up. So,
and it's cool touch.
Yeah. So yes,
check that out.
I agree. I would recommend that too.
Great. But maybe this is good. I don't know. Can't speak to that. Best machine for drive-through. Is it Rancilio or Rancilio? I've heard it both ways.
Not sure.
I don't know if the Italians use the chill
in
anything else. I'd say Rancilio myself.
Rancilio Class A 7 USB tall. I have no clue what this is, but I promise you this is not the best machine for a drive-through.
I feel like this is something we'd all disagree.
Yeah. I can just about guarantee that Espresso Parts doesn't carry Eversys.
Right.
And if you're starting a drive-through, you should buy an Eversys. Eversys is a newer manufacturer of super automatic machines, so it does interior grinding, tamping, steaming, anything you want it to, and it's excellent. We've had a lot of drinks from an Eversys, and it's pretty close, if not the same as what a barista could make.
Yeah. A lot of people are just a quick little segment on Eversys. We have recently just at least for me, I've just been so excited about Eversys in the last year, being introduced to their products. Our good friends at Bronny's Coffee Service, I don't know what their official name is. Bronny's, we'll call them Brownies. Yeah, they're our equipment partner down in Atlanta, and they Mark from Eversys brought a demo model over to their shop, and we went and played with it, and we were just amazed by how great the espresso was. There's different layouts, like you can press espresso and it'll give you an espresso. You can press cappuccino and it will just spit out a cappuccino you can just leave the cup there and then it will suddenly have a cappuccino in it. There's models where you can press espresso and then the espresso will come out and then you can manually steam the milk. So there's varying degrees and levels of how automated or manual the machine is, specifically as it relates to milk. But people are generally turned off by the Eversys when they're starting a cafe because the perception from a customer when they walk up to if they order a cappuccino and they see it made on a machine where you just press a button and out pops cappuccino, the perception is that that's not going to be as good. It's not handmade. You shouldn't charge $3.75 for it. There's not like an artisan craft, like human side of it. And I understand that. I get that. I would be interested to hear what you guys' thoughts are there. But if you're just purely looking at, because the point you bring up, Ethan, of like, who are these people that are starting coffee shops? A lot of times, definitely the majority of the time, it's people that either have never worked in coffee or they worked at Starbucks for 5 years, whatever, and they're trying to open like a more specialty cafe, or they've been a barista at a kind of second and a half wave shop for a little while, and they're planning on hiring a manager that knows a lot more about coffee. So like when I look at that, I'm just like, Eversys. If you're trying to have the best, most consistent product, but like I would just get an Eversys if I was. And there's pros and cons to it. The pros is everything I just said. The con is like, yeah, there could be some people might think less of you because you didn't pull the shot by hand, you didn't steam the milk by hand. But yeah, what do you guys? Do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I will say that we will have a concept with an Eversys in it in the future at some point.
Are you prophesying?
Oh my gosh.
If it's a drive-through or something, we've talked about having like a, Eversys in the drive-through and then something else inside.
Yeah.
It's like different stations. Because really with an Eversys, I mean, especially I think in some drive-through formats, one person could handle the volume.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be sick. But, we're opening a new cafe and we love Eversys, but we're not putting an Eversys in it. And I think the explanation for that is that, one, they aren't sexy. It's really not aesthetically pleasing at all.
Especially compared to what we're getting.
Exactly. So, I think we've had conversations in the past of like, should we put an Eversys in the back at 44 Milton whenever volume gets crazy and we can just go back there and like crush some drinks?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, we could do some sort of like mobile ordering Chipotle secondary bar situation.
Have that aux bar.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that is pretty much the only reason for me is the aesthetic of it is not good. It looks like a cheaper super automatic machine, even from the back.
Yeah, that inspiration came from one time. I don't remember like who was there. I just remember I was at Golden Eagle. The Golden Eagle doesn't exist anymore, does it?
Nope.
It's Muchacho. Golden Eagle used to be a bar in Atlanta. It's now called Muchacho. I think it's the same owner's management. Anyways, they have a bar, I think, with like 2 or 3 wells in it for cocktails. And when you order a cocktail, a lot of times your cocktail doesn't come from those visible wells, like the bartenders you see behind the bar. It comes from a service bar, which is either off to the side, or I can't remember if it was in the kitchen or.
Yeah, I think it was in the kitchen, right?
It's like a horseshoe, so it's like a big U where the bar came out, and then at the ends there were just 2 plateaus.
That's right.
And there was 2 service bars there, and it was like one was right next to a door and one was in the corner.
Okay.
Right. So
And it was dark.
a lot of benefits there. Those bartenders don't have to talk to any customers, which may seem insensitive or non-empathetic or blah, blah, blah. But that's going to help customers get their drink faster. And the people that are on the point bar can be more, like classic bartender talking to people. They're still ripping too. Like a great bartender is going to be able to talk and make drinks. But
Yeah, the people visibly were just serving the people sitting at the bar. I don't know if you said that.
Right.
But that's kind of what we talked about. If we ever had a different kind of space, like either a big enough space or some sort of split where like if you came up and ordered and you were hanging out in the space, we would turn to the regular machine and make it right there for you. Or if you're like either getting something to go or if there was some sort of drive-through, there was just like another area where you could get out drinks a lot faster. Huh. Interesting stuff. Really talking about espresso machines right now.
Anyways, keep it moving. Best machine for baristas, La Marzocco KB90 AV. I mean, they're saying this because of the straight-in portafilters that don't hurt your wrists after a long time.
The new design reduces the physical strain on a barista by 12 times and helps to mitigate repetitive motion injuries.
if you care about your employees,
If you care about repetitive motion injuries, click here.
Which is just like, whatever.
Who's hurting themselves locking in a
I
portafilter?
don't know. And then they have best machine for retailers wanting to add coffee service. Again, wrong.
Eversys.
It's Eversys. Best machine for the office, Ascaso Steel Duo, and just get both.
Get the other
Ascaso
one.
Baby T Plus. Again,
sure, whatever.
it's a GS3 for me, but actually for the office, no, it's not. It's an Eversys. But if you were wanting to like ball out, but
well, you got to take
Millennium
in
Mini.
you got to take into effect or account rather price. Like, I wonder how much that machine is. Yeah.
There it
So
is.
that is like a fourth of what a GS3 is. So I understand where they're coming from there. I don't know if that machine's any good, but
Well, if you were gonna step up to this one, then get a Linea Mini.
yes,
You know.
for sure.
But I don't know. Maybe this machine is just incredible, and
Let's just buy it.
if
Just
it is,
six-
yeah, okay, add to cart, bought, it's done, purchased.
That's not how the cart works, Big T.
That's how. I mean, I have such a direct relationship with espresso parts.
You just add to the cart, and they're like,
yeah,
"Oh,
they see that I added it to the cart. They just go ahead and ship it out. Oh, yep, shipping notification. Here it is.
oh wow, on your Apple
Really?
Watch,
Yeah,
dude, you're so optimized."
You're integrated.
yep. Yeah. I mean, if you know about this machine and that it's good, then go ahead and smash like and then and then comment and tell us about it.
Dude, the smash like bit will never get old for me.
Yeah.
I know it. Everyone else hates it that's listening, but it's really funny.
If you like the smash like bit, then smash like.
All right, enough about the espresso machine.
Okay, maybe we just kind of, in summary,
summary.
what is our espresso machine recommendation? Our 3 machines for 3 different scenarios.
Yeah. Let's say there's just a cafe that's opening. They're just going to be like the neighborhood coffee shop. There's not a ton of specialty coffee around.
If Valor Alpharetta was opening and
Yeah.
you were consulting them, what would
Yeah.
you recommend?
Well, if I knew it was going to be as freaking high volume as it is,
Yeah.
I would say get a 3 group, and we were on a skinny build out back in those days. I would probably do like a 3 group Linea AV, or like a 3 group GB5 AV.
Yeah. And just to be clear, we have a Keese van der Westen Spirit triplet
Yeah.
in our first cafe. The reason being that it looked sexy. It had bells and whistles, and we found it on Craigslist for $8,000.
Yeah, but it's like 30,000.
Yeah.
It's a nice machine. It's been treating us pretty well. It's from 2014, so it's starting to get that age on it. I feel like.
I bet it won't be in there in 5 years.
Call me in a year. I mean, speaking of the volumetrics, one of the volumetrics is giving me a little trouble now, and I'm like, I wonder, just with all that heat, all the wiring and
Yeah.
stuff, I'm like, it's gotta just wear out.
Another case in point, like another huge thing to consider with your espresso machine purchase and your equipment purchase in general. If you're local to us and you're starting a cafe, talk to us about what espresso machine, what grinder to get. We can get grinders at cost for you. And then for espresso machines, we can kind of make the decision together along with our coffee tech partners. And buy your machines through a small guy. Like, buy your machines through, even if you're not in Atlanta, reach out to us and we will connect you to whatever coffee tech person is in your area.
We know all of them in
Yeah.
every city.
We don't.
Got them on speed dial.
But we could easily know like what coffee tech to buy your machine through wherever you are. And that's just going to support that business more instead of buying it through Espresso Parts. And you're going to have a relationship with them where you can have a preventative maintenance schedule, which is really important for espresso machines. It's not optional; it's mandatory. And
Whoa.
you're not going to get that if you buy your machine through just online. So that's a really big one. Another thing to ask, like for our Keese van der Westen Spirit, it's a Dutch company, and so the support for those machines isn't readily available. Parts aren't readily available, and so when something breaks, it's a little bit more of a headache to get it resolved. Whereas with La Marzocco, our good friend David Lamont, they have a local salesperson, a local tech person. Parts are easily available. So just one more thing to make your life easier while you're trying to run a cafe and train people and do the books and all that.
So back to it, you would recommend for a high volume situation, a 3 group Linea or GB5 AV.
Yeah. If the budget was higher, I would get into the auto brew ratio.
Yeah.
Is it
ABR.
ABR.
That's just
ABR
when
Strata.
you have these scales in the drip tray, and it's just a more advanced version of volumetrics because it's by weight, not by volume.
Yeah, and that's another thing we do is we do tiered pricing. So like if you reach out to us and you say we're trying to start this cafe, we'll give you 3 tiers of like a whole spreadsheet with all of our recommended equipment that you should get, down to the scales, down to the tamper, down to the espresso machine, the grinder, and there's sort of like a premium, let's say like a medallion, like a silver, no, what's the word? Platinum, gold, bronze package, if you will.
Yeah, and I think there's a part of it that's just aesthetic at a point. I mean, I know that they're technically a different build-up, but I would personally recommend for high volume wanting to spend a lot of money, I might recommend a mod bar with ABR. And that's what I think we will probably put in 44 Milton when we take the keys out.
I would regret if I didn't say this. My favorite machine is the La Marzocco Strata. I think it just looks way better, but it has open group heads. So for something, these are little nuanced or niche things, but just being able to see everything a lot more clearly instead of having to like duck low for your espresso machine,
That's
or
big.
or raising up your espresso machine so you can see it more head on, but then you're doing all of your motions up here like a crazy person. And then I really, really like the steam ones on a Strata or a open machine like that are a lot longer. It helps with ghosting a lot better efficiency there. And then the switches are just a lot easier than like the Linea knobs.
So true.
So just like a little quirky things. And the drip tray is a lot higher, so you can put stuff.
You can adjust it.
You can adjust your drip tray.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was doing the platinum plan, I'd either go mod bar or like a nice ABR Strata.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, heck, I feel like a Slayer now, the Slayers now are probably really synonymous with a Strata now, if I had to guess, with how their quality's boosted.
Mm-hmm. Still just that, regional support probably as the limiting factor compared to La Marzocco, which is the best.
Totally.
And so, yeah, Platinum, Strata, or Mod Bar, either of which have ABR scales, drip tray.
Yeah.
A step down from there would probably be a Linea or a GB5 with volumetrics. How about a cheap plan under 10K? I would say look for a used Linea with volumetrics. You can get those in that range sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very popular machine, so they're on the market a good bit of people, cycling in and out of business or whatever. Any other recommendation there?
Well, on that note, if you're wondering how do I get a used espresso machine, talk to your coffee tech in your area, because they're gonna see they probably have machines on their bench right now that they're working on that they're rebuilding or whatever that they could sell you. Maybe I don't
with a tech plan.
Yeah, with a tech plan. So that would be one way to save cash. I have heard. I'll just throw this in here. If you research used espresso machines online, there's going to be a lot of them that are from Australia. Don't buy them. I'll leave it there.
Why?
I don't know, but someone that really, really knew what they were talking about told me that, and I was like, "Yes, sir." I think maybe it's the
water is so hard or something.
There could be I think what it is there is a company in Australia that sells used espresso machines, and they sort of like have a big market share of that. And it's maybe just on certain websites, but I've just heard to not deal with them.
Do not engage.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Fallback.
So you're talking used Linea, and then maybe even below that, if you're like going to be in a slower area or if coffee's a part of something. I feel like my split answer would be like, depending on what it is, Eversys. But how much is an Eversys? Like
it's like $20K.
So forget about that. GS3, buy 3 portafilters because we were able to do, I'm sure saying the number of drinks would be more helpful, but I just thought about money. I think we could do like $1,500 to $1,800 a day as a coffee shop with the GS3.
It wasn't pretty sometimes.
No.
But if you're starting and you get to that point, then you can just buy another GS3 or sell it and get something bigger.
Yeah.
And it's not like we had 100 people doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
Then we didn't have to like up the manpower.
Yep.
We could do it with 2 people. You could do an $1,800 day with 2 people. It sucked a little bit. But honestly, there was a huge perk to proximity because if you have such a smaller machine, even like a 2 group or a single group, you can have your grinder so close that like you're just not moving and you're very locked in. And what we could do at the space, the pop-up, was that I could take orders and make espresso at the same time without making it seem like I wasn't giving the guest like the respect that they deserved.
The smaller the machine, the higher the skill of the barista, though. That's necessary.
Like efficiency?
Yeah. We were only able to do that because we were really good. And like we had just been doing that for a while. Like if you were trying to buy like a single group machine, then the coarse way to say it is like you better be good. Like you better be really good at being efficient and getting the most out of that small machine.
Just pulling up a random Saturday from 2019. 1312 was the sales.
How many drinks?
Category sales.
For listeners, we're looking at our square.
278 drinks.
In how many hours?
What were hours?
8 to 5, so 9 hours.
Mm-hmm. So,
but I mean, the drop off, we did not have an afternoon crowd. I wonder how many drinks we could make in an hour. It'd be like 204 math.
It'd be like 225 divided by 4.
Yeah.
So roughly 56 a drink a minute.
Yeah. Which is great.
A drink a minute
for a single group machine. So yeah, that's the next tier down. And then if you're looking at something super automated, a drive-through scenario, Eversys. So we are La Marzocco and Eversys stands.
Yeah. And this is our podcast, so we can say whatever we want.
It'll be interesting to see how things develop over time, because I feel like we're going to have to talk about this another time, if I had to guess, about equipment. But like we've stuck with some companies and things have changed, so I don't think we've like put our feet on La Marzocco ground and like no matter what happens, we're not changing. But they've just been consistent to us. Not that, and we've worked with them kind of in different ways. I feel like a part of what we just said, I would also want to hit maybe in a kind way, but like what might someone who we're talking to, what might be some of the other options that they're considering that we would say, maybe don't. Like Nuova Simonelli comes to mind, like a 2-group Simonelli is probably like $7 or $8 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
In our experience, which is limited, we're not like techs, but it seems like they have had a lot of problems, and you're gonna pay more over time pretty quickly in trouble as far as things breaking and whatnot. I know you've probably had the most experience talking to techs about machines that are kind of poo-poo. Care to weigh in about that kind of question?
I actually don't have a ton of info on some of these because there's sort of like two different schools in these new machines. I feel like there's like Fama has been doing a lot of new looking cool stuff. Like can you pull up a Fama? Mm-hmm. These things just look super cool. I don't know. this is very old man, but like when I see just a machine that looks very digital and it just scares me. This thing is going to get literally beat to heck.
Like, when's that screen gonna get busted?
Yeah,
From a
like,
portafilter.
Yeah,
so like that president GTI.
that E61 is hot though.
Yeah, they're all super hot. So
Is it a 2-group, the E61?
Yeah.
my best advice is talk to your local tech about what to get. Because I say that, but also if your local tech is not an honorable person, they're gonna sell you something that's gonna break so that they can work on it and make money from you,
Or whatever they have the best markup on.
right? But I mean,
But they're probably good. They're probably honorable.
they're probably great people. You
Yeah.
know?
If you're working in coffee tech, I doubt you're like doing it to make a ton of money.
True.
Maybe. Coffee's just not a super lucrative industry in general.
That's why we started a podcast.
Because the podcast
Podcast.
industry is like, it's so easy.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
look at Joe Rogan.
It's
Yeah.
undersaturated.
I mean, he's loaded.
And we've only got a few less listeners than him.
Right.
Yeah, so bells and whistles break. Good point.
Yeah, bells and whistles break. Like, that's why I love La Marzocco. It's a rugged build, but there's enough features and enough technology to where it can provide that convenience and that efficiency.
And if you're thinking about like your guests and what you're trying to show to your community, like La Marzocco just has head and shoulders above higher respect. So like it's a little like lame, but people really do when they're looking at a shop just go to Google Images and kind of see what gear they're working with.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this place, do they look like they make good coffee? You have to go and drink it to see if they actually do make good coffee. But a lot of times I think people can kind of formulate an expectation or a guess pretty accurately based on the equipment that people have.
Yeah.
And so if someone sees a not super sexy but a Linea, they're like, man, yeah, could be. The floor is already pretty high, basically.
Yeah, I've definitely been deterred if I just like Google somewhere, or like Google like a coffee shops of the area I'm going to. If I see a place that has a 2-group $7,000 Simonelli and then another place with a 2-group Linea, I'm going to the place with the 2-group Linea.
Yeah.
Unless they're just serving char, but you know.
Right.
We got char.
I think we've said enough on espresso machines for now.
Let's keep it moving, y'all. Well, when you look up best espresso grinders coffee shop on Google, you have coffee shops and you have Valor Coffee. How about that?
How about it?
We are the best espresso grinders. And then the thing underneath says probably best espresso in Atlanta.
Probably.
Thank you to whoever you were that said that.
You could find out.
I would have to agree.
Gosh, I can't believe we have over 500 reviews. That's
I know.
nuts. People are talking
500 reviews.
in a pretty short amount of time.
Yeah.
I guess it's been like 5 years.
Yeah. Okay, well, the first thing that comes up is Majesty Coffee.
Let's do it.
Majesty.
All right, I'm going to have some things to say about this, y'all.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
If you follow me on Instagram, you already saw this rant from last week.
Well, let's talk about, just before we get into brands and the specifics, like what are we looking for in an espresso grinder?
Well, this is the good time to say this. Your grinder is more important than your espresso machine. True or false for you boys?
True.
Well, the reason I'm having a hard time with this is when you ask that question of which, because you're asking what should you ball out on, or what should you skimp on a little bit. I am a little scarred because we just balled out on the grinder, but it wasn't.
For sure.
It wasn't. It didn't return the level of ball out that we balled out on. And so if the question is like, do you want your espresso machine to be more consistent or your grinder to be more consistent? I would say, I think I would say both. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to say like, all right, leave your dimes for your espresso machine and then leave your dollars for your grinder. Like I think there's a happy medium.
Yeah.
Personally.
I would also say against what I said, but it's just a point. It's a lot easier to upgrade your grinder later because it's something you just unplug and
they're cheaper than espresso machines.
Versus like, all right, we're going to start with this machine and we'll swap it out. It's like you're not really going to swap out your machines like ever unless it breaks because it's just the plumbing, the electrical, it's like pretty tied into your area.
Yeah.
But when I think about like at the end of the day, most of the machines you buy, especially if you buy them new, are going to be able to push out hot water decently consistently. And I think a lot of the grinders, if you buy today, there's probably a lot that can't grind consistently and in the similar temperature.
Especially at high volume. And especially like it always just goes back to who are you? How skilled are you? When I say you, I mean the cafe owner, the purchaser. Are you going to do a weekly cleaning routine on this grinder? Like if you're not, that's gonna if you're just like I can't commit to that. That's gonna inform your grinder decision. Are you gonna train your employees and baristas to troubleshoot whenever the grinder is malfunctioning? If you're not, that's gonna inform the grinder decision. So I think there's not a black and white answer. It just depends on, like when someone asks me that question, I always ask questions. I'm not just like, this is the answer.
Yeah. I think a comparison with the happy medium thing is there's so many different, industries that this applies to. For one that resonates with me is if you have a $500 camera with a $2,000 lens versus a $2,000 camera with a $500 lens, the lens, the expensive lens, cheap camera body beats the cheap lens, expensive camera body. And that's kind of how I feel about this.
Yeah.
But with that being said, the better way to approach this, because of the law of diminishing returns, is to buy the like $1,000 camera with the $1,000 lens.
Yeah. A good way to look at it is like, okay, like if someone reaches out to us and they're like, okay, I have $20,000 for my grinder and my espresso machine. What do I do?
Yeah, we wouldn't be like, get this $20,000 espresso machine and get a $500 grinder.
Yeah.
We would be like, get this, $16,000 one with this grinder, which our world has kind of been turned upside down with that recently.
For the moment. We'll see what changes, but.
Yeah, so let's just scroll through here real quick. It's talking all about burrs, flat burr versus conical burr. I don't think we really have to get into that too much. Do you guys have anything to say on that?
Well, we're talking specifically about cafes, right? So I imagine it's saying a lot of those things about like home baristas. If we're talking about cafes, we're looking for flat burr, right? We're not messing with like conical burrs. And if you don't know conical, it's just like a cone-shaped burr with another burr that kind of wraps around it. The coffee passes through, depending on how fine or coarse it is. Flat burrs, you have two flat burrs that you can adjust them depending on how fine or coarse. So pretty much, unless there's technology I don't know about, which there often is technology I don't know about, just flat burrs is definitely a good place to start for a cafe.
Yeah. So instantly I see on this a reminder, Majesty Coffee is trying to sell all these products. And we're going to stay on this article because it was the first one when we Googled it. But this is an outdated article because it doesn't have an updated product line on it. So their best commercial espresso grinder is the Malkonig Peak, which we own. we have used extensively.
Yep.
And things I would say about it. It worked for years. It didn't work how we wanted it to. And it's kind of outdated. But I mean, I don't know. Can you how would you compare the Peak to our newest expensive espresso grinder that has been terrible? Which would you prefer if you had to choose?
If I had to choose,
Our newest espresso grinder is the replacement for this grinder in Malkonig's product line. It's called the Malkonig E80. It's about $3,000, right? 3K.
You have to pull up a price. I don't remember. It's definitely up there.
Mm-hmm.
funny enough, the thing that really bummed me out about both of them is a similar problem in that you couldn't get to the guts easily. When the Peak really kicked the bucket for us, probably 3 years into operating, maybe 2.5, which is a pretty crappy time frame, to be honest. If you're spending like nearly $3,000 and you're only getting like 2+ years out of it, I would call that a lose, personally. But yeah, we ran into this really lame problem where the head wouldn't come off due to like the top burr getting stuck. But this thing, we had like power issues with it too. Like we had to switch out the switch twice, like where you press it to get coffee. So the anxiety that builds in a cafe when you go to grind coffee and just nothing happens, and like it'll like sporadically happen. You have to like slam the portafilter into the switch, and I'm sure that just makes it worse, but it's just what you do as a human when something's not working.
Do the same thing, expecting different results.
Well, think about us being stressed about that whenever we have backup grinders at our HQ. Now think about someone who's opening a cafe on a skinny budget and doesn't have anything else
Yeah.
Right.
to fall back on.
And they're like in a small town in rural Georgia. And
Yeah.
they're like, I have nothing.
Yep.
It's nothing quite like when you have a problem and you can think of a backup plan, but when you have a problem and you're like, I have nothing else to grind coffee. What am I going to do? Smash it up with a mallet? You know? It's like, this is my one option. Anyways, but yeah, the Peak definitely, another really lame thing about it was that it just like got way worse over time as far as like performance, grind quality, powder, like how powdery it was versus how clumpy it was. And then, slower. Like, no joke, took 8 or 9 seconds.
You had to just adjust the clock longer and longer as the years went on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, for 2 years, that's pretty sad.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that okay, so we had all that with this. This is the grinder that we recently purchased for our cafe, and we thought was going to be our future
The creme de la creme.
because it is marketed as the best you can get. The Malkonig E80 Supreme.
Back to the whole price conversation. Like, if you make a product and you're like, we are going to price this thing at the top of the market, you're going to attract people like us who we're not like rich or something, but we have had a cafe for a while that's busy and we want to invest. We want to get the best thing we can get for the cafe because the cafe is ticking. Yeah. So like, you're going to attract people like us that want to get the best thing. And then I don't want to just like totally destroy Malkonig's name or the E80, but I do want to be honest. I want to be honest about our experience because that happened and it's worth sharing.
Yeah.
Well, and being honest too about what we have found to really enjoy is an affiliate of Malkonig. Mm-hmm. So we're still like
still giving their parent company money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just press in about the issues with this grinder. I'll say the things that it does well. when it works well, it's made the best espresso I've ever had,
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
Perfection.
They just pulled our coffee perfectly.
Faster
in
than
record time.
Yeah,
faster than any grinder.
grinds in what was it, 3 seconds?
2.5.
2.5 seconds for 18.5 grams.
And the peak later on in its life was like literally 8 seconds.
Which, if you're not in coffee, you're like, what's 7 seconds? But it's like, what's 7 seconds 500 times a day?
Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot of seconds.
that's
I mean,
like 7 times 500.
Yeah, I could do the math, but
I'm not.
I'm not going to do it.
Totally.
You don't even have to. Yeah, so it did that. It was a great grinder. The huge problem with it is that it has to be deep cleaned every 2 days. And that is just completely unrealistic for normal baristas closing who are just like, they just got this job 2 months ago and they have to take the lid off, which is nearly impossible.
That's the biggie, is that there's a manufacturing error right now. There's got to be, that makes the lid locks on and you unscrew 2 set screws, and it's supposed to like lift it up from that locking mechanism so that you can unlock it, and it will not go up and out. You have to put either 2 screwdrivers in and just like really, really rip on it and really feel like you're ripping this thing apart. And probably like right when you think you're just going to throw it in the dumpster or give up, like something finally gives on your last go.
Yeah, and what happens is the like how you notice it is the coffee starts spraying out of the right side of that chute there. So you're
when
trying
it needs to be cleaned. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and it's funny enough, I worked on bar 1 day a week for a season, like a couple months ago, and every time I worked on bar, this would happen because just the timing of it, I guess, was like perfectly synced. So every time I worked on bar, the coffee would start spraying out of the right side of the chute, and I'd be like, goodness gracious! And it's like we have a line and we need espresso, and so I'm like, okay, this needs to be cleaned. I wish it didn't need to be cleaned as much, but hey, let's clean it. And then for it to just like, you have to literally use all of your strength to rip this thing apart.
And tools to clean it isn't to just like run a brush up the chute and wipe off the clump crusher, or it's not just to take off the hopper and put a vacuum and get all the beans out. It's to take the hopper off, take the lid off, take the like measuring plate off, take the top burr off, use a very large screwdriver and another screwdriver to take the bottom burr off,
Burr carrier,
the burr carrier off, and then to get under that and clean the bottom side of the bottom burr. That's the tension point that causes it to spray. And you're just like, I can't do that 2 times a day when I can like barely get the lid off.
Yeah, people are walking in the door demanding their espresso. And we're like, sorry, we bought a grinder at the top of the line. We got to clean it. Like, sorry, guys.
Yeah, bleh.
Right.
Bleh. Beyond all of this, the thing that just gets under my skin the most is that Malkonig acts like this is by design or something. They offer no solution to the problem. I'm not even talking about our points of contact, because we aren't talking to the company in Germany or anything. We're talking to our, local or more local,
regional,
supplier who sees these issues as well. I'm not going to say who they are.
And they're like, I know.
Yeah. And so we see that they're just like, they offer no solutions. They act as if it's by design. They act as if it's okay that you have to clean it every 2 days. And they aren't even like finding a solution for this. They're just like building onto this product line. Like they just released a version of this that has built-in scales that grinds by weight, similar to the espresso machines we were talking about. And it's like the exact same build. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, you think that this is like okay, clearly. And it's not. And you're charging $3,500 for, I mean, that thing is probably $4,000 for a product that is just bad. It's just not. It's not okay.
It makes you want to zoom out a little bit and be like, maybe when it comes to coffee tech, and I feel like we're taking this stance a little bit, is like, I never want to just buy the new thing.
Yeah.
It's like I want other people to buy the new thing, and I want the manufacturers to fix what was wrong about the ideal new thing. Because
the V1.
the ideal of this was amazing.
Yeah, that's why
It
we
was
bought
awesome. It was great. And it like kept really good temperature like all day through the whole rush, like really consistent dosing. And then this like these really small stupid problems that they didn't plan for it. It's not like, oh, yeah, this is going to happen and that's fine. But I'm like, they probably just made a bunch of these grinders, found all these problems, and they're like, whoa, we got to just sell them and get this over with. And I'm like, man, I hope in a couple of years you figure it out.
Fix your damn lid.
Yeah. Fix the lid.
Well, you're paying a lot of money for these features that like give you more consistency and more efficiency. So like this grinder, it literally measures down to the, I don't know if it's a micron, or I think it's like 0.001 millimeter, whatever that measurement is, down to that, like maybe thousandth millimeter, like how close the burrs are, which tells you how fine or coarse it is. And you can literally have presets in there of like preset 1, preset 2, preset 3. You know, I want this preset to have this amount of closest on the burrs. Like I said, it grinds in 2.5 seconds. So you're doing all these things to invest in and the temperature control. That's a big thing with grinders is they overheat or they're too cool. And so you invest in all these things and then it's all for nothing because the lid won't come off. And it's a systemic issue.
Like, even if they released a retrofit of a replacement lid for $100, I think we would buy it and roll with it. I mean, realistically, in my heart, I think there should be a total recall, and
like the movie,
and they should send a replacement lid to everyone because it's trash. But
because we got a replacement lid, and it was just the same lid.
Yeah.
I wonder,
Yep.
Hey, hit us up if you have one of these and it works really well. I wonder, like, sometimes does it just work and sometimes it just doesn't work? Making stuff's crazy.
Yeah, I will say I made an Instagram rant about this about a week ago, and every coffee person that responded to me was like, yeah, agreed. Like, I've worked with this and it's terrible.
Wow. Again, back to the whole old man philosophy that we had on the last segment of like the more touch screens, the more digital things with coffee equipment, you're just working with like oily coffee and like baristas that aren't trained for equipment maintenance. Just get something rugged, mechanical, and, you know, get as many features as you can with being convenient, but with not like, you know, getting too futuristic, like this kind of stuff.
Yeah. One of our wholesale accounts has the E65 just the normal E65, and he's had issues with it as well.
The same spraying issue. Well, I totally agree with that sentiment, but what's funny is the problems that we've had are not the touch screen. It's not like grind by weight or like the temperature control that it gets really hot. Okay, the peak got super hot. I totally forgot about that. That it was like lava coming out. But so the stuff that was
what?
That was my punchline.
Did you break?
Yeah. So yeah, the problems were like the freaking clump crusher is just like a piece of rubber, right? And that coffee gets under the burr, and that the like screws on a lid don't work right.
Yeah.
It's just kind of goofy to me.
They made good features and then forgot to like do the nuts and bolts well.
Yeah, super bummer. But I know we want to go back to this list, but just do we want to say what we really like right now?
Let's see if it's on the list.
Yeah, we'll see if it's on here. I bet we'll be able to breeze through the rest of this. Okay, then they just have the K30, which is just old product, worse than the Peak. So
super loud.
Super loud, super slow.
Not sold anymore, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
You can probably find. I bet there are a ton used. Anytime I look for used grinders, I see these guys.
Yeah.
And if it was the right price, I'd buy. If I was in a pinch and it was like someone for like $600, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It like kind of sucks, but it does it.
Yeah.
We never had like severe issues with the K30.
No.
I don't think we ever had it worked on. It was just really loud and like pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
take that for what
For
it is.
sure. I mean, I guess if I wonder what I would choose between these two. I'd probably get the K30 because you could get it cheaper.
Yeah, the
Buy
peak.
two of them.
The peak was supposed to be a
Get
lot.
a twin, K30 twin.
The peak was supposed to be a lot quieter, and then it just got loud again,
Yeah,
Right.
which is stupid.
that's true. All right, Nuova Simonelli Mythos. I don't know a ton about the newer ones, but we do have one of these in our HQ. See, we just have such ragtag equipment here.
Oh,
We have a
man.
non-volumetric machine, a freaking Mythos. What?
What are we doing? Do you think they still have the fatal flaw on the new ones, just based on the body?
Are you talking about the degreed burrs that
Yes.
wear unevenly?
Yes.
It looks like it.
Because people recommend the Mythos, like still.
Yeah, right.
So, what does the Mythos do well? Tim Pepper.
My father-in-law.
Temperature control. It does that. That's it. It's the cream of the crop. The creme de la creme for that, right?
I mean, how
Or it's supposed to be.
we used to, yes, it's supposed to be. I'll say that.
They kind of put it on the map. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Ethan and I used to work with a Mythos every day at one of our previous jobs, and
And that's it.
that's
We
it.
just had to take it with
Yeah.
us.
It's. I can't remember if it was that. I don't think it was that consistent.
No, it.
No.
So it's got another couple. Whoa, it is expensive.
They have one with a built-in tamper.
One of our wholesale accounts has that.
Okay, it's pretty expensive. I think it's probably fine. Like I think it's got status or like respect.
Clout.
Clout. Yeah. If you go into a place and it's got a Mythos, you know someone spent a lot of money on a grinder.
I remember like seeing a picture of Onyx, and they had 4 Mythoses
Right.
in a row.
They look good next to each other. Things I don't like, maybe they fix it on these, but the programming's really bad. Like to change the time, just like the interface. And a lot of the newer grinders are activated like on timers, for example. It's like you put your portafilter in, it runs for 3.5 seconds. Most grinders, when like either the portafilter falls off or you like have just gotten a little bit of coffee and you pull away, it will stop grinding. But no matter what, if you activate the switch, it will grind for that amount of time no matter what. And so if you ever see a Mythos, there's usually just a mountain of coffee underneath because people always are just like trying to get a little bit of coffee or like accidentally bump it or something. And it's just like,
Yeah. And you just watch it.
and that's really stupid and small, but it's like you can't stop it and it just happens.
If you want to do a small thing, you have to like press a button and
you
then
have,
do
you have
it.
to change the setting. The other stupid thing, I'm sorry, I feel like we have a lot to say bad about grinders.
They all suck.
I know
that's the issue.
I know it's hard, guys. Like,
It's hard to make grinders.
I know it's hard. I couldn't do it, and I'm grateful for anyone that tries. but okay. And then the other dumb thing, at least on ours, is that the daggum hopper like lid or the hopper shut off thing that lets you close the hopper. The vibrations of the grinder close
Yeah.
the lid so that anyone that hasn't worked on that machine like for a long time just always thinks that the grinder's broken, or it's like nothing's coming out, and then you have to like look underneath and go, oh.
Hopper closed.
Hopper was closed.
And then what's the big one? The diagonal burst? Can you?
Yeah. So I don't know how, if you're on YouTube, you can definitely see this website. That
I'm sorry. I thought you wanted me to go to YouTube.
No, sorry. So where his mouse is, like, go to the show the burrs. So yeah, just like show the burrs, big T.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
burry.
Got it.
So where his mouse is, that is the grinding chamber. Like the hopper comes through that silver chamber. That circular portion there, those are burrs, and usually burrs are like this. They're flat. They're in this position, and the coffee comes through them and then comes out the chute into your portafilter. But on the Mythos, they are angled like this, as you can see.
By design.
And so because of the law of gravity, like the beans pass through it and those burrs are sitting at this angle. And so the burrs wear unevenly because they're at that angle. I can't like break down the physics of why, but that is another flaw. Is the burrs just wear unevenly.
Mm-hmm.
I also am not a fan of the grind adjustment of that little knob. That little knob on the right is how you adjust the fine or coarseness of the grind. It's a little bit harder to do like micro adjustments with that. And just to zoom out, man, I feel like this topic is not that well documented, but I have just thought this ever since I've worked in coffee. Grinders are inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if like I've never worked on a super consistent grinder, and I've worked on.
You've worked on every top of the line grinder.
I haven't done a lot of Mazzer stuff.
Yeah, I've worked on a Mazzer Coney.
Right. And
but I mean, I'm like, is that their top of the line? I just don't know.
And it was an old one.
Yeah.
So it's like, when I say I've never worked with a consistent grinder, I'm not just like some, barista that had a coffee job. Like I've worked on a lot of different ones. And invariably you'll be pulling shots and then everything about the coffee will change in a moment. And you tried to dial it in, and it's like, I didn't tamp it wrong. The weather didn't change in a single moment. Like, this is a really, really consistent roaster that we're the coffee's not the problem. The espresso machine's not the problem. It's the grinder. And so I just feel like no one talks about that. Like, grinders just aren't that consistent.
Yeah.
Your website's crazy right now.
Yeah. We don't know anything about the Mazzer line. It looks like it's all completely redone and more digital now.
Yeah.
I always seem to hear high praise from the Mazzer community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're saying all this. We're kind of like crapping on a lot of stuff. We're not necessarily like completely saying this on the authority on all matters. We're saying this more of like, hey, if you guys know of good grinders out there, first of all, smash like, and then comment below with your favorite grinder. Colson, I'm talking to you. My mom actually listens to every show too. So shout out Karen.
Karen, comment your favorite grinder.
Smash
below.
like, Karen. I love you. And
You're awesome.
Thanks for tuning in. You're the best. Anyways. So grinders.
Yeah, I know. They're tough. Did we finish the list with the Mythos?
It's this. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it. We're going to keep going. And then the Super Jolly, which is the most classic espresso grinder of all time.
The doser.
It's got the knock doser. It's loud as all get out, and I could never, ever recommend this grinder. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should try this thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It has the side knob adjustment. But it could be cool. If you've ever worked on a Mazzer Cold with a K, S,
Keep it cool.
let us know. Seems like it's doing some of the new cool things. 1 second per 6 grams. What does that mean? How many?
3 seconds for 18 grams.
That's pretty good.
That's amazing.
Does it look like, I know this is super, you lose anytime you don't have a place to rest your portafilter?
I think you can get it. The other ones had it.
Well, check out that tab. See the tab above the button? That's what that is.
This?
What?
Accessories. You can get the Easy Tamper.
Oh, it's conical burrs.
What?
Yeah.
Take it all back.
I don't know.
Just kidding. Okay.
This thing seems like it's pretty easy to take apart. That's pretty
Yeah, see, look.
nice.
Scroll down. It says conical burrs right there. Up. Oh, that just says that. Okay.
Interesting.
Anyways, yeah, when we were talking about burrs earlier, I said you're going to want to do a flat burr unless there's technology I don't know about, which
maybe.
Is
that like their top of the line guy?
I believe so.
That is really interesting.
We'll have to try it.
Yeah, it has all the check marks.
We're going to talk to Caleb at Bronny's, our local coffee tech, and see what he thinks about the Cold S from Mazzer.
So what are we liking right now, though, boys?
All right. Right now, we are only recommending Anthem Scody 2s. We personally don't have a lot of experience with the rest of Anthem's product line, honestly. But the Scody
it's faithful.
It's faithful. And you guys can speak to that a little more than me because you've worked on them a lot more. But we just don't. I mean, does it produce if you're calling the E80 at its best, 100%? The best espresso from the Anthem is probably 95% of the 100 that would be the E80.
It's close.
Super close.
Yeah. So
the SP2 Plus.
Why would anyone get a doser? Is there like something we don't know about of why that's preferred?
I don't. You mean like a clickety clack?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm not sure why anyone would get that.
Okay, first of all, we have to look at that because I haven't really seen anything about that.
SP2 Plus.
Scody. Anything else you want me to pull up? How about the best?
Yeah,
Just
we
the
want
best.
the best.
Let's call it best.
I'll pull up the Practica as well.
So we were
Talk about
introduced to Anthem products by our regional partner, our regional equipment partner, and they are. We used to be able to get them. Prices have gone up, but we used to be able to get them for $895. No, $995, which is so when you compare that to the $3,500 grinder, it's obviously
which we got it for less than 35.
Yeah, I think it was $2,850
Yeah.
that we got it for because we have a direct account. But we were like, our equipment partner was like, "Hey man, you can't sleep on these Anthem Scodies. They do have the worst name in the whole world, Scody, but don't let the price tag scare you. That they're amazing grinders. They're not gonna like have tons of bells and whistles, but they're really rugged." And I was like, okay. So we had several wholesale partners buy them. I mean, we bench test all of our wholesale grinders. We put them on our bar here at the HQ. We season the burrs. We dial in our coffee, and we program each of the settings, on what's good for our coffee, and then we ship them out. Unless you're far away, and then we usually just have the grinders sent to you. Like we had a guy in Idaho buy one of these grinders. We just had it sent to them. But if you're local, we'll do all that for you. And we're like, okay, so I really, really like the way the grinder is working on the bench test. It's simple. There's not really a whole lot of ways you can mess it up. It has, volumetric dosing just with a timer. You set the time to grind for 5.3 seconds, and that gives you 19 grams, whatever. And it's like, okay, but how good is it 5 months in, like at our cafe? How good is it after you've thrown, 10,000 shots at it? What's it like then? And we put one in the cafe, And what has been your experience with it, Ethan?
It's great. It's just like the most no fuss thing, you know. The clump crusher is really interesting. Everything's really easy access too.
Yeah.
So if you see on the screen like where the little red marker is that shows how coarse or fine the coffee is, that like big cog there is the top of the top burr. So it's like you're seeing direct change. It's like, okay, when I tighten the grinder, I can see myself putting the burrs closer together.
Right.
Like it, and then to take it off, you just lift up the hopper and you just unscrew the burr, and then you're there. So it's pretty crazy. And then the clump crusher, you just unscrew these two guys, and then boop, it's right there. And you can see under the grinder. It's easy. It's super good. No problems. Like it handles a rush well. It's gonna heat up, but then it's gonna cool back down, you know.
How's the consistency in a rush?
I don't think we've had so many moments with the E80 and the Peak, and like, I can't get it to go longer than 14 seconds. You know, like you hear that, like either you're taking orders or you're making drinks, you look over at the person who's making the shots and they're just like bug-eyed and they're like, I can't get this thing to work. I don't think that's ever happened with the Anthem. It's always like, if it heats up during the rush, it'll probably start going from like 25 seconds to down to like 22. Like it'll be a change. And then you move the grinder, you know, you tighten it up and you're there.
Yeah.
So, kind of like hits expectation in a lot of ways really well.
Have you noticed that, because like with a lot of grinders, you change the grind adjustment, you make it finer, you make it coarser, and you don't really see a change in the shot times for a while. Mm-hmm. Is that the case with this grinder? How does it do with that?
You know, funny enough, this past weekend, I changed it once pretty far, and I didn't see a change, and then I just changed it again, and it made the move. And that's interesting because what I'm saying is you see the direct result. Like you can see with your eyes that you're making the burrs be closer together. So it's like, what else needs to be happening?
Yeah.
And a lot of time, well, I'll tell you what really the fact of the matter is, when the grinder heats up during a rush, everything's going faster and it's hotter. So in the 5.2 seconds that you're grinding, you're getting more coffee. So say your set dose is for 17.5 grams. When you're in the rush and it's busy, and you're like, things are pulling fast, and you weigh a shot, it's coming in at like 18.3, so like almost a whole gram more. It's like, oh, I need to tighten up the grind. So you tighten up the grind, and then you start going, but then you start getting 17.5 again. So there's almost a gram less in your portafilter, and you rip it again. It's going to be in a similar time frame as the coarser but larger dose. So then you have to go finer again to maintain your 17.5 gram dose and let the shot go longer, if that makes sense. So usually it's like a double move.
You said 17.5 again, which sounds like the sequel for Zac Efron's 17 again.
What an observation.
If you want to see 17.5 again in theaters, smash the like button.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're recommending this grinder.
We are. And we don't recommend this one, to be clear. I don't have a ton of basis for that, but again, same parent company as Malkonig, looks like the E80.
Caught.
Could not be. Maybe it's not. If it's not, and you know that it's not, then let me know. But it looks pretty close to the same bones. And then as far as this guy, what's up with this guy, you know?
Well, you got titanium burrs on it.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
And that's one thing I was going to mention is it comes with steel burrs, and you can upgrade to titanium. Let's see. Read that. Like, what's The SP2 Plus is for busier cafes.
I think it's just a Scody with all the upgrades. So it
upgraded
has
cooling system.
Yeah.
Removable rear panel that brings a smile of joy to every technician's face.
I think they all have that. I think that's kind of their.
Is there a rear photo?
Let's see the rear.
No. There's something they don't want us to know.
Come on, guys.
Can we download it?
Product sheet. Probably on that, right? Nope.
All right, sick. Oh my gosh, they have red, boys. You know how I feel about
It
red.
only comes in 220, I think.
Oh,
Dude, we got to get this one. All right, well.
I mean, it looks pretty. It looks
probably
pretty
just-
good.
that probably just means it grinds a lot faster.
Grinding time for single espresso 2.2 seconds. So
4.4.
So 4.4.
Single.
So
We should start doing singles.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I mean, yeah, I think it just comes with titanium burrs. It comes with I think it said it comes with a better switch.
And a better cooling system, which is kind of taking care of
Does
what.
it even have a switch? Where's the switch? Where did it go?
Ah,
It doesn't have a switch.
maybe it's just the picture. It's like
I'm
a
scared.
rendering.
I hope not.
They could have forgot. See, the SP2 does, and the SP2 Plus.
Interesting.
What is this? Replacement of the mechanical start-stop activation switch with a durable proximity sensor.
Uh-oh.
Nope.
No.
Control Alt Delete. Am I right, boys?
Oh, back out. We don't like that.
Okay,
We do not like
Why?
So-
why
so
take away
probably-
the switch?
so probably just this one.
There
I think
is-
it's the exact same thing, but
There is zero inconvenience to the switch.
yeah.
Especially if you distance the switch from the coffee, because the coffee comes out pretty angled. I think that was another problem. I don't think you may have talked about it while I was indisposed about the Mythos, but that coffee just gets all up in that.
Okay, I need to crap on the clump crusher on the Mythos for a second.
Please,
It's terrible. It's
full
almost
stop.
it's almost worth not buying the grinder because of the clump crusher. Again, I could be wrong about the upgraded grinders, but as of 2016 or so, the clump crusher is just this little plastic piece that breaks. And the worst thing about it is when you go to replace the clump crusher, which needs to happen often, the screws always strip that hold the clump crusher on because they are just crap screws. So even if you use the right size Phillips head and you really don't mash it or whatever, the screws strip. So you have to get a new clump crusher all the time, and you have to have screws for the clump crusher because they're going to strip.
Lord help us.
Anyways,
Rant over.
Let's talk about, unless you have something else, Big T, let's talk about batch grinders. Let's hit that for a second. Okay. It's great to have an awesome batch grinder that can do espresso. And you wouldn't usually think, I have an espresso grinder. Why do I need my batch grinder to do espresso? Because espresso grinders break, as is well documented on this program.
Ooh, good point.
And so if you need to pop over to your batch grinder and brew some espresso because you have a line and you don't have a coffee tech person on staff, that's great. Just a little note.
There's no good. Whenever I look at best drip coffee grinder coffee shop, there's not anything relevant. It's all, if it's commercial, then it's espresso. And then it's just home grinders.
And in case it needs to be said, which I need to say this to wholesale partners more than you would imagine, you do need an espresso grinder specific to espresso. You may think I have, in other words, you can't really get by with just a batch grinder, even though it has an espresso setting. There are some very high-end specialty cafes that pull all of their shots through an EK43, which is a batch grinder. You're probably not that person. We're not. We're not that person.
We tried.
We did try, and it didn't work out. So you need an espresso grinder that is just for espresso, and you need a batch grinder that's more of your all-purpose.
Totally.
So you're going to use this for grinding your drip coffee, grinding retail bags for people to take home, any sort of single cup brewing, whether that's pour over, French press, AeroPress, Kalita, whatever it is. You're going to use this grinder to grind those single dose. Things to look for in a good batch grinder, because this is also a huge part of the equation. You know, let's say someone says, I have $23,000 for my espresso machine, my espresso grinder, my batch brewer, and my batch grinder. You know, like, where do I spend my money?
Right.
That's a great question. And I think, again, there's a happy medium to everything. I will say a splurge, it's so hard to say, but I'll say this, like, it's really nice to splurge on your batch grinder.
As in, really, there's just the EK43 from Mount Koenig, and then there's
Everyone else.
There's other stuff.
Yeah.
I saw it looked like Mazzer had a type, and I'm sure it works. It looked a lot more electronic.
Yes, I see that grinder showing up more and more. Mazzer made a batch grinder that's sort of similar design to the EK. If you're a coffee person at all, or if you're just a coffee shop goer, you know what an EK43 looks like.
It's the grinder.
Yeah, it's the grinder. It works incredible for espresso. It works incredibly for batch brew. The maintenance on it is pretty easy. I know we've had some trouble in the past. I'm sure some of that was user error. You, Ethan.
What?
But yeah, it's very easy to change the burrs.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it is a rugged design with minimal features. You got an on and an off button, and then you got your smacker, your static buster.
Static buster.
That's really it.
And you got your grind adjustment. So, guys, if you can, get an EK and buy it through us so that we can get it to you at cost. We're not going to make any money off of it.
It's so great, and I just trashed them for so long, but they've only improved the EK. What used to be the biggest problem with the EK was the switch, because it would just always break. Gosh. And then they fixed the switch,
metal buttons, beep, beep, beep.
And then they added the S, to the EK 43S to the product line for people who are into it. We don't love it, but some people, it would be great for them. You know, if you are mobile and you want an EK, it would be perfect for that.
Or you're doing a lot of espresso by the cup grinding, probably a lot just easier access.
Yeah.
S in this scenario would just mean short.
Yes.
As in it is
Small.
The same thing, but the EK is kind of famous for its long legs, but this thing has got short legs. Yeah, I mean, he was saying you should try, if you're getting a batch brew grinder, like a drip coffee grinder, you should get one that is all purpose, because your espresso grinder will break at some point. And if you are in the middle of nowhere, you should probably have a backup. Unfortunately, there's really not a backup for batch brewing grinding on an espresso grinder can't do that.
Right.
Unless, maybe some serious mods later, but whatever.
You can't do that while you're on bar.
Yeah. So I'm a big recommend on the EK. It can help you, and we'll talk about this later. It can really help you diversify your menu too, because you can kind of opens you up to some more opportunities.
Mount Koenig, Guatemala.
Rest in peace, or is it?
No, it's there. It's just it's updated.
Got an update. Heard great things. Save a little bit of money if you're not going to go EK. Mount Koenig also makes a bun coffee mill. It's the same design as the bun coffee mill. I'd snatch one of those. We sold one of those to a wholesale account before.
The DK15. Look at that thing.
Yeah, just go straight for the DK15. Call it a day.
But anyways, I don't think we have to go super long on the batch grinder.
You want to end? Maybe we can follow up on another app, but you want to end with batch brewers?
Batch brewers, then we could probably just encompass all other restaurant-esque equipment in one quick go
statement.
Yeah,
a statement piece.
So talking batch brew real quick. You have some options here. Are you gonna batch brew? I think the answer should be yes. Are you also gonna do pour overs? And we can hit on that really quick, kind of in the same category.
Yeah. Right. I see a lot of different accounts out there that just go ahead and buy a batch brewer that I've never seen before. Like espresso machines, there's not much I haven't seen as far as brands, but there's so many batch brewers out there because it's such a simple design. It's literally just a boiler and a switch. And so there's just so many different options out there. And
there's not much on this. It's just all home related. Again.
Yeah. Right. So that's why we're doing this episode. Like there's not a lot of great resources. And that's also why we help our wholesale partners with this stuff. So, I mean, we'll just come out and say it. There's really two brands, and I pretty much like them equally. There's a few kind of small minutia that would make me lean a certain way, but there's Wilbur Curtis that makes fine batch brewers, and then there's Fetco. Both of them have a touchscreen. Okay, hold down your lunch, boys. They have a touchscreen. I've never ever had a problem with it.
You're pretty far away. The touchscreen is very far away from anything that would damage it. That kind of makes me have the peace of mind. It's just like it's up at the top.
Yeah,
it's away from everything.
And it's great to be able to program a batch brewer. You can go in the menus on either Fetco or Curtis brewers and tell it exactly how many ounces you want your brew to be. The reason I said there's minutia that would make me lean a certain way is if I'm recommending a batch brewer to a wholesale customer, I'm probably going to go Fetco, the Extractor series, because whenever you're programming the recipes, well, I'll say the other way. Whenever you're programming recipes on a Curtis, you have to manually adjust the pulses. Like you tell it, I want 40 ounces of water on this pulse, and then I want it to shut off for 5 seconds, and then I want 60 ounces of water. Like Fetco doesn't. It does that, but it allows it to be a little bit more intuitive and just kind of like I want my brew to take this long, and then I want this many ounces on my brew, and it just kind of works all that math for you. So, and another thing is, if you buy a brewer, we'll put it on our bench and we'll program it for you. We'll probably charge you some money because that takes a while, and we'll give you, like our exact recipe, that we would use. So anything to add there, guys?
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple of other brands. Like I would say newcomers, like Tone is doing batch brewers.
Oh, cool.
That seem like they're probably pretty cool. I just don't have any experience with them.
We probably wouldn't just like recommend that to a cafe that is opening.
I mean, I guess if you want to be, on the cutting edge, it's kind of just a risk you gotta take.
Yeah. One that we did take with the E80.
Yes. And then what's the other one that like has
Marco?
The vessel that you like see it filling up at the top. It has the gravity.
Schmavity? Cavity?
Gravity?
Gravity coffee? While you're looking at that, what do you think about someone buying a drip brewer and they are like, should I get one brew head or 2.
Yeah, I get that question for sure. We have a double dual. And do you like that? Do you use that?
Yeah.
How do you use that, like practically?
Okay. Let me say it like this.
Yeah.
We used to do iced coffee on the batch brewer. So being able to do hot and iced and like be switching those out interchangeably was very convenient. Now that we just do hot coffee, probably get away with one.
Ground control. Sorry.
Ground control.
You guys know this?
I've seen it.
I don't know anything about it, but I just had to figure out what it was called. They look crazy. Maybe they're cool. I don't know. Continue. Sorry.
$10,000.
Okay.
Wow.
Not that cool.
For a cup of coffee?
You're gonna expect me to pay? Yeah, because I mean, what are we talking about with these batch brewers are more in the 1,000 to 2,000.
Yeah, 12 to 2, something like that.
You can get a dual head Curtis. I think
Like
it's
17.
I think it's around there. It could be like 22 or something, but it's definitely less than 10,000.
Yeah. Now I would say 2's just convenient for like if I'm opening on a Saturday morning, I can rip both of them to have it like ready to rock because we're gonna start serving drip right out of the gate. Other than that, it's not a big deal. I would probably do 1 if I needed to. Now, another thing I would like to do in Dunwoody is we've never done this before, and maybe we'll see how it goes with doing a by the cup option too. I've always liked the idea of multiple drip options. Just practicality gets in the way. Waste really gets in the way for me. I really feel like you just are going to be dumping a lot of coffee. So unless you're doing iced coffee and hot coffee, I'd just say get 1. And same thing with the espresso machine. Just get more air pots. Don't get like I would say, get more portafilters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I hated it at the cart. We only had 1 air pot and 1 brewer. So you'd have to run out of drip to start another thing of drip. And that 8-minute window is when everybody wants drip.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember that.
Scientifically speaking. Oh, it was a real dealio.
I think you're lying.
I'm sure we got another one
At
as
some
we
point.
progressed.
We put one on the back bar, aka the wire rack.
Yeah. So that would be my thing is depending on your situation. But most likely for most people, I just get 1.
Cool.
Yeah, and make sure you wire that thing up to 220 power
Yeah.
for
yeah.
optimal recovery
I
time.
mean, really for everything we've talked about.
Yeah,
220 is always better if you got it.
except for grinders. Those are usually 110, but you can get 220 options.
Probably be better.
So as far as budget goes, just to recap, batch brewers can be awesome and not that expensive. You know,
Yeah,
you don't have to get the ground control. We're not telling you to get the Mac Daddy, and you can still make amazing drip. Batch brewer grinder, we're telling you to get basically the most expensive one,
yeah.
and we're telling you that it's worth it. Espresso grinder, we're telling you to get a pretty cheap one.
We're telling you to get a very specific one.
a very specific cheaper one versus like a $4,000 premium one. And we've worked on all of them and we're pretty hard and fast on that. Espresso machine based on your situation, you could go as crazy. We would give you the thumbs up on buying a $40,000 machine, but we also give you a thumbs up on getting an $8,000 used La Marzocco Linea. So there's a wide range of like what's good for you. Then there's all the other crap.
Let's talk pour overs just real quick.
Right.
If you want to go that direction, which at our new cafe and in our current cafe, we are
Moving.
Our current cafe, we're retrofitting into that direction. I've said retrofit just too much here.
Yeah, slow
Welcome
down.
to the
man.
retrofit podcast.
And then in our new cafe, we're going to do it straight from the jump. So if you want to do it, you can do the manual thing, which is obviously an efficiency suck on your staffing.
And I would say a quality suck.
And usually a quality suck because people are under stress. There's a lot of variables that could go wrong.
They're having to retrofit.
There's retrofitting involved. They're retrofitting the water into the V60.
Yes.
Or
the,
Kalita Wave.
The Beehive.
Or Origami Brewer.
Gino.
Yeah. And so, for us, if we were going to recommend someone do that, if you really value that, we would recommend an automated pour over system. Some you got as examples, we have the Tone in our Alpharetta Cafe, the Tone Touch.
The biggest perk of that being
it does not have an internal boiler, so it's all flash heated, which is cool because we didn't want to. We didn't, and it also doesn't have a drain line.
Yeah,
and that was the big thing for us. We didn't want to have to plumb in a new drain line for this specific machine and do another countertop hole cut.
Scooby.
And yeah, so there's the Tone. And Dunwoody, we are going to be putting Wilbur Curtis Seraphims, which is just, again, another option for this. They're good. They're pretty cheap comparatively to some of the other systems. You also have Mod Bar. They make one that's relatively expensive. And then you have the Marco SP9. So, you have all those options. With all that being said, they all have programmable recipes that will make the pour over for you. And that's cool.
I guess kind of TBD on how we feel about all that stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have something that you want to say, smash the like button and let us know.
Please. Yeah, so we don't have a ton of recommendation, but I think, the only one I've ever really used was the Seraphim. Just kind of hanging out behind the bar at Peach when we used to roast there. And it seemed like it was good.
Yeah,
so
it just
we're getting that.
Has like the same kind of user experience as the Curtis Brewers.
Mm-hmm. And then the Tone so far has, when it's been operable, which we haven't had any major issues with it. It's just been install issues.
Yeah.
Which is probably on the fault of us.
Oh.
But when it works, it's produced a really good product, and it's consistent. And
can make tea too.
It's a robot doing it, so it does it well. Okay, next, Ethan, you have the most experience with all of this. So as far as the rest of the equipment, talking refrigeration, ice makers, dishwashers, ovens.
Yeah, all of those things have broken. You're right.
Yeah.
In our space. Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of the time you don't have an option, right? You just have the budget and you make it work and you buy all your coffee gear and then you see that you have $10,000 left for your other stuff and you cram it in. But just I would love to catch the ear of someone who's either owned a coffee shop or a coffee company for over 10 years and just like how many times they've had to switch out equipment. But we're coming up on 3 years in the 44 Milton Cafe, and we've really, been pretty high volume since the start. We're grateful for it, but it's really put a wear and tear on all of our equipment, coffee and non-coffee related, and it's highlighted how much investing in like the bottom of the line stuff can really bite you in the butt as far as time and repairs and money. Because I'm sure if you calculated all the money that has gone into our different equipment, it has probably mostly exceeded the price point of a nicer thing. So for example, we have like a 3-bay under counter fridge on our back bar, and it is frozen multiple times and had compressor issues and temperature control panel issues and condenser coil issues. And we've probably spent over $2,000 on it, but we've also spent $2,000 to buy it. And then if you look online, you can get the top of the line, like a True or a Beverage Air, same cooler, in the $3,000 to $3,500 range, and it just makes you think like, oh,
Which it probably will require some amount of repair at some point.
yeah,
But just a lot less.
a lot less, and it teaches you about maintenance too. Like I would just say that to a coffee shop owner, you're just not thinking about maintaining your equipment all the time, but I would just implore you to think about it and make margin in your workload to clean your coils and to clean your air filters on your ice machine. And honestly, we were super excited to get a certain ice machine, and we spent more money for it, and that kind of bit us in the butt too. We found a lot of issues. That was another big lesson to take away, is always plan way ahead for like production sealing and storage sealing. Don't try to squeeze everything into a small space. Like we have very tight refrigeration. We have an ice machine that does not produce enough ice for us on, heck, a busy winter day, sometimes even, let alone just like a summer weekday. So yeah, when we're doing this Dunwoody space, we're in a really interesting scenario because we're also on a tight budget, but we're also like, why we're going to have to spend this money one way or another. We should probably invest in better equipment. And I would say nearly everything that we've purchased has had an issue. Like our dishwasher, our ice machine, every single refrigerator,
Our sinks.
our sinks. Yeah, even like we bought just like the Webstront suggested cost-effective sinks, and like the faucet handles just have broken multiple times. It's like, So
And that means
Stand-up cooler. Nope. Wait.
no, it's crapped out.
Okay.
But that one is maintenance error. That was because it just needed to get cleaned. It just needed to get cleaned.
Cool.
So the Avantco stand-up glass door refrigerator
Great quality.
has worked.
which doesn't get opened all the time.
No. The 3-bay gets opened all the time, and it made a valve in the compressor that activates the defrost to break, and so it won't defrost. So every 10 days, the evaporator coils freeze, and I have to thaw them.
With your breath.
Which you're really good at.
Yeah, I've gotten my time down pretty good, but is that, yeah. So
Is that great work?
is that great work?
No.
But we've bought two beverage air coolers over the last couple years, and those have worked great so far. One gets used very heavily, and it has maintained very well. But yeah, I mean, just for general equipment, I would just say really try to not just get the cheapest thing, but try to find reviews, try to find trusted brands with warranties. So we're changing our ice machine from a cold draft to a Hoshizaki stand up in the back that has a bigger production ceiling, and we're going to be carrying ice out from the back versus like the under counters are convenient, but the production ceiling's just really low.
Yeah, like I think we had the biggest under counter cold draft we could get.
Right? It's a 250-pound bin, but it probably only makes like 100 pounds a day.
Yeah.
The other big issue with the cold draft is that, and I think this is like how it was spec'd. You're supposed to like line it in with a copper line, like plumb it in, but you can't work on the top. You have to like cut the copper, pull it out, put it back, wrap up the copper. I remember the guy, like the repair guy, brought in and saw. He was like, "I have to cut the countertop," and I was like, "No, you don't have to cut the countertop.
Oh my
Please do not."
gosh.
So, yeah, I know it's lame, and probably anyone would tell you this, but just don't skimp on the boring stuff. The refrigeration is key.
Because that stuff's going to keep you there after hours. You should be with your family.
See, yes.
Well, that was a lot.
That was
I had a lot more to say about equipment than we did about hiring, huh? That's funny. We got a lot to say about hiring too.
Yeah, for sure.
Both are important.
Both are very important. And I mean, we didn't say this, but all of this, it affects like I have to stay late sometimes, or like, we're thinking about the cost of it, but we're trying to do all this so that the work experience for the people that we hire is like, we just don't want everybody to be in an anxious space because like your equipment's all like finicky and like very iffy. So the more you invest in your just like bones of your space, the more like peaceful and focused your team can be on guests and product. Not like, I got to make sure I use the exact minimum ice for the day so we don't run out, and like that's like a stress point. You know?
For sure.
So at least for me, when I'm thinking about all this stuff, it's like, how can we take care of the team so that they can take care of the guests through this? And so that's why we're talking to coffee shop owners. So it's kind of addressed to you guys, setting your team up for success, setting yourself up for success while you're at it.
Yep. That's good, guys. This is good content. If you're still listening, you just sat through some really, really niche crap.
Cold draft, Hoshizaki.
Hopefully it was helpful. We're just sharing our experience.
We even talk about max ice.
Champion dishwashers.
Champion versus Hobart versus Noble.
I mean, it's a whole debate. You could spend hours just on that.
Gosh. Yeah.
Well, good one, boys. Good one.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you.